قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll learn 10 new lessons from Juz 6. Let's go to our first lesson.
لا يحب الله الجهر بالسوء من القول إلا من ظلم وكان الله سميعا عليما.
The first lesson we learn from this juz is raising the voice against oppressor. A believer never discloses other believers' mistakes. But what happens on the other hand, an oppressed person is encouraged to raise his voice against the oppressor. The reason behind this is when the oppressed one raises his voice, so either the oppressor will stop doing the oppression or the other people will come and help the oppressed one. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says in Sahifa Sajjadiyya in Dua 38, Allahumma inni a'tadhiru ilayka min madlumin dhulima bihadrati falam ansurhu. Imam says, O God, I ask pardon from you for the person wronged in my presence whom I did not help.
يا أهل الكتاب لا تغلوا في دينكم ولا تقولوا على الله إلا الحق إنما المسيح عيسى بن مريم رسول الله وكلمته ألقاها إلى مريم وروح منه.
The second lesson we learn from this juz is refrain from extremism. A believer should be careful not to exaggerate any fact or facts and give his own opinion as truth. If this is done intentionally or unintentionally, it will cause harm to the true path. This ayah is the reference when Christians attributed Prophet Isa alayhi salam as God's son, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clarifying that Prophet Isa was the prophet of Allah, so we understand he was not the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The gist of a hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam which says that destruction is for two groups. One is the group that exceeded the limits in exaggeration, and the other is the group that showed extremism in enmity.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الشهر الحرام ولا الهدي ولا القلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام.
The third lesson we learn from this juz is respect for sacred things. In this verse, there is mention of divine things. God's signs are all divine things, like it is mentioned Safa, Marwa, the sacrifice that is made during Hajj. All these are the divine signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything which is related with Islam and Allah, such as Islamic books, Islamic places, sacred months, dates, and anything in which the color of Allah is seen and fragrance of Allah comes out, such as signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are all divine and we should respect them. We should also respect divine jurists and divine religious scholars.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين وإن كنتم جنبا فاطهروا.
The fourth lesson we learn is search for purity. In this verse, there is an emphasis on cleanliness. A believer refrains from being in the state of impurity and understands the importance of cleanliness, both internal and external. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says, يحشر الله عز وجل أمتي يوم القيامة بين الأمم غرا محجلين من آثار الوضوء. The hadith is saying that Allah will illuminate, brighten the faces of my ummah on the day of judgment due to the blessings of performing ablution. So we should try to remain in wudu all the time to gain the barakah and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط.
The fifth lesson we get from this juz is the importance of justice. A true believer maintains justice in all circumstances, even if it is in the favor of the enemy. He remains unbiased. Imam Ali salam said before his martyrdom, Imam says, "Deal justly even with my killer. He struck me with one blow, so strike him with only one blow instead of cutting him into pieces."
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم.
The sixth lesson we learn from this juz is always remember Allah's blessings. A believer will not only remember Allah's blessings and favor upon him, but also remembers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him from his enemies. In the end of the verse, it states that a believer will always trust Allah and remembers Allah giving victory to him in the past and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should remember the blessings what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us and blessed us with, and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all these favors and blessings on us.
ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا.
The seventh lesson we learn from this juz is efforts for the salvation of humanity. Islam has come for the salvation of a believer, of a mu'min. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that whoever saves a life is as though he has saved all mankind. The best salvation is a spiritual salvation, to take out others from darkness and ignorance towards the hidayah, towards the guidance and light, and teach them about religion, belief and rulings, so that one comes to know about Islam. A believer always tries to bring others towards salvation.
إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف أو ينفوا من الأرض.
The eighth lesson we get from this juz is standing strongly against those who spread mischief. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to stand strongly against those who spread mischief in the society. The main reason is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Islam gives importance to the well-being of the society.
يقولون إن أوتيتم هذا فخذوه وإن لم تؤتوه فاحذروا.
The ninth message we learn from this juz is not to choose some parts of religion on our own convenience. A true believer accepts Allah's laws and tries to act what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. And this is the teaching of Quran, that we should not take whatever we like and whatever is going according to our own interest. A believer always listens to the teachings of the Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and not according to his own will. Like some people will say that will not pray or will not hijab. Why? Because they are taking Islam as their own convenience, whereas Quran and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam are teaching that no, we should take what Allah is commanding and not according to our own convenience and own interest.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا الذين اتخذوا دينكم هزوا ولعبا من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم والكفار أولياء.
The last lesson we learn from this juz is do not befriend those who mock your religion. Yes, a believer will not associate with people who go against and mock Islam. Quran teaches us that those who go against Islamic values and make fun of Islam, we should never befriend them. These were the 10 lessons. Inshallah, we'll come again with the 10 lessons of the next juz. Till then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ قلبي قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني